So we've talked about three aspects of this mindset and behaviour change that we're looking at. So we've talked about unity and trust, we've talked about wise stewardship, and we've talked about looking outwards. The last one's the one that I think is the most challenging for all of us, and that's the one about timely truth-telling with love. Timely truth-telling with love. All very important to think about. So we all hear and see things that are happening in our communities, in our offices, in our homes, in our teams. And some of these things we like and some of them we don't. Now, how do we talk about the things we're seeing that we're not happy with or we're concerned about in a way that is respectful? And that's this timely truth-telling with love. And for me, the idea of with love is about being respectful and listening. So to bring about change and to increase the quality of our work means each of us needs to communicate our concerns and our ideas to each other in a respectful way. And that's everybody. It's not just some people, it's everyone. So my challenge to you this year is going to continually be, are you listening to one another? Are you talking about the things that concern you and coming up with ideas that are practical and realistic that might help solve some of those problems and concerns you have? Another example is for us, we want to have the best staff we can get. And that we all have areas that we have to grow and develop in. And so sometimes our supervisors will be challenging us around, or challenging you or me. My supervisor challenges me as well around how can I do a better job? We call that performance improvement. Sometimes that can be quite hard to hear, but if we come back to our core values, if we come back to who we are, life in all its fullness for every child, including the most vulnerable, we want to be the best we can be. And so that performance improvement is an opportunity for you to grow and develop. Don't see it as a negative thing, see it as an opportunity. Now, along with that, and it comes back to that trust and unity, is respect and confidentiality. So I expect when you have those conversations that that's between you and your supervisor, and it's not for the whole world to discuss. So those four behaviours again, and mindset change is about unity and trust, about wise stewardship, looking outwards, and timely truth-telling with love. Now I want you to stop the video and I want you to really get together and talk about what in your job would timely truth-telling in love look like. Really practical ideas. What might you do differently personally? What would you like to see in your team be and do differently? To really allow for us to change the way that we communicate with each other to a much more positive way that really is focused on growing and developing each other. Welcome back to this final session of the Kia ora from Heather. I just wanted to revise again what we've been talking about, and we've described a lot around the tree to help us remember where we're going this year. So remember at the trees we talked about the roots, and what were the roots about? Our core values. And then every tree to grow to be healthy requires water. And for us it's just a reminder on a regular basis, and the way that you get water regularly is that we're Christian, we're child-focused, and also we're community-based. And then we've talked about the fact that you need sunshine. Every tree needs some sunshine to grow, and particularly mango trees. And so the tree to grow needs sunshine, and that's our behaviours and our mindset. So how we're thinking and what we're doing, and how that need to look. So finally, we've got all the components together for a healthy tree, but we also need some fruit on the tree, good juicy mangoes. So for us, when we start thinking about these fruit, I want you to think about our priorities. So in World Vision and our Promise 2030, and for us here in PNG as well, is that we're looking at 5 pieces of fruit. So one fruit is our focus and a priority this year and going forward is on most vulnerable children. Now, that means even in the constraints of working with donors who don't have the same mindset and may not be child-focused, that we're really making sure in our designs that we're consulting with children, that we're really trying to look at who are the most vulnerable children and their families in the communities where we're going to be doing this a project. And really making sure we're including them, making sure we're thinking about how might this project help those most vulnerable children. Now, it varies a little bit from community to community, but some examples of some of the most vulnerable children is we know that children and parents who, or children who are living in families with parents or other members who are disabled, they're often more vulnerable just because of that. Children, and we know this through our campaign on ending violence, is that children who experience and see different forms of violence, sexual as well as physical, verbal violence, they also can be more vulnerable. And of course, children who are in families where there's a lot of sickness, and that could be TB, it could be HIV, it could be other illnesses, they struggle more as a family as well and often are poorer. And then finally, some children in any family, there's sometimes children who are just neglected. And so when we're doing our program designs, what's expected going forward is that you're thinking about how will this project have an impact on those types of children and any children that the community feel are most vulnerable. And so recording and keeping records of who those children are and how the project is helping them and their families will be expected going forward. So there'll be a bit of work to be done by the PQ team with you to help you think about how to do this. So that's the fruit about children and most vulnerable children. Another focus and our priority is really around making sure that we have really focused work on certain sectors. And this is something we've been doing for a long time, and our portfolio management that was part of our change management was trying to say, let's focus and go deeper and with higher quality and greater impact in the sectors in which we're operating. And so you know those sectors, and I won't go into them now. But the only way to increase the focus and our quality and the impact of the work is to report. We need to record. We need to show impact. You can tell stories, but we need more than stories. So while sometimes it feels as though reporting is a task that none of us really love doing, it's a task that's so important. We need to prove that what we're doing is making a difference and that we're learning all the time. A report is in data collection. In itself, you might just think, it's just a piece of paper and it's for someone else. But actually, this report should help you think, what's working and what's not working? And so it's not a report on one day, it's looking over time, looking at if we're doing this program at the beginning, as we go on, we should be seeing things improving. And so you need, those of us who are really involved in programs need to really look and analyse and understand what's happening. And if things aren't working, we need to challenge each other. And this is where telling the truth with love. If it's not working, I want you to challenge that and say, it's not working. If it really isn't working well, we need to change it, and we need to negotiate with our donors to say, look, it's not working as well as we all thought would. So I'm hoping that this year, I'm really going to track, and the leadership's going to track how we're doing on our reporting and really learning so that we have better quality and impact in our jobs. Now, the only way to have quality and impact and be really good and well known for our work is our communication and our coordination. Now, so this is linked to reporting, but it's also how do you communicate with your team? How are you talking to each other? How are you planning together? We talked about this earlier, but I really want you to think about how do we actually do this in terms of speaking with one another, catching up with one another. Now, what we've heard back from the field with this change management is that not having an area program manager is a bit confusing for people as to who's in charge and so forth, and makes decisions at the field level day to day. So what we're wanting to do is really build a stronger leadership team in every project level, geographical level. So we're going to focus some training and some capacity building on really developing your leadership team at the field level to jointly plan and to jointly solve problems at that field level. Now, we believe it can work, and we're seeing some of the results of it working already. So we just know that that needs a little bit more work, and that's going to be something we're doing in the next few months in the different programs. So don't be surprised if there's that leadership, focus on a leadership team and what your decisions you can make there, what things you need to elevate to higher management in terms of problem solving. So that's one thing. The other thing is we need to, for quality and impact, we need to have really well-trained staff. And so some of you are aware that we are really committed to the management of talent here, and we've developed with all the managers and the senior leaders a list of 70 people who are now in the talent pool. Now you'll be getting, if you haven't already, you'll be getting a letter for those of you who are in the talent pool and coming up with some really individual plans. So I hope that will help you feel as though you can have a career in World Vision and that you'll continue to grow and learn. And that's going to help the quality of our work. Now, with that, we've got to think about the high quality and sustainable funds. So that's the next piece of fruit for us. So we've got most vulnerable children, that's one piece. We've got the focus of our work and the quality and impact by our sectors and portfolios. And now, in the end, we all know we need money to do this work. But the money is not only about getting the money at the time, but it's money that is enabling us to do what we want to do, but also enabling us to have money for the long term. So one of the things that keeps coming up for us and will always come up, but we need to keep in our minds is how do we reduce costs of our admin and our support services and the management and CPO and field. So this year we're going to have lots of conversations around how do we work more efficiently. It's a difficult one, and you often need those support. I know we need those support services, but are there ways to work more efficiently? So we'll need your help in that. We really will. So I want you to stop the tape now, and I want you to get together and talk with your neighbour about the whole issue of what could be some of the ways to be more efficient so that we're not spending so much money on those sort of admin support costs.